This is another wonderful day, and we are excited to be here once again. How was your weekend? We had a very wonderful one, and I know you also had a very wonderful week. It's a raining day, right? It's rainy. It's a rainy day right here in FCT Abuja, and this is the time we bring you to speed with the headlines, despite the downpour. It's a heavy downpour, but then we have to be here because you need to be informed. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and of course, Antonia didn't stay back because of the rain. Michael didn't stay back because of the rain. And we are all here. Good morning, Michael and Antonia.
Good morning, Ramsey.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning,
How did you manage to come?
It was hectic. It wasn't easy at all, but we're here to bring you to speed with the headlines.
It was so much that some cars had to park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not everyone that can drive in the rain. That's to tell you of the extent of the rain. All right, so the headlines for the day, beginning from the Nation's newspaper this morning. To the right-hand side of the papers, INEC retained placeholder as Akpata's running mate in Edo. Details read on page 20. Why Abu-Ad remains top varsity rating by Afe Babalola. Details read on page 6. Then this one is one story that caught my fancy. Kano government serves Bayero eviction notice from Nasarawa Palace. The fight in Kano State is not near over yet, but then I think the state government seems to be having an upper hand right now. Let's see what's going to happen. One was displaced the first time, no dust was raised. Now someone is being displaced and dust is being raised. And I was telling someone over the weekend, and I was like, okay, I think all this fight is because of the people behind these emirs, because on their own, the issue may have been resolved. But you know that type, when you want to do something, maybe you want to step down, somebody behind you say, if you venture, step down. If you venture, do this. So let's see how that's going to end. Kano State government serving eviction notice to Bayero from Nasarawa Palace. Then I'll move straight to another story right here. The kicker says, Alake, solid minerals boost foreign reserves by $5 million. Solid minerals boost foreign reserves by 5 million naira. Okay, just one writer to that story. Minister presents a gold bar to president. That's a good one. Then the big story, which is really big, you need to take note of this. IOCs frustrating rollout of Petrol, says Dangote. This one is coming from, I think Dangote Refinery is the one saying this, all right? Listen to this again. I want to say this. The reason I'm repeating it is because I want Nigerians to know some of the things that have contributed to what we are going through at this very particular point in time. IOCs frustrating rollout of Petrol, says Dangote Refinery. One writer to that story, FEM accuses government agencies of aiding indiscriminate importation. Indiscriminate importation is part of the reason. All right, moving away from there, the last that we'll be taking right here, it says Rivers Council workers plan protest over police pressure. Details read on page 4. And that's going to be the size of the headlines this morning from the Nation's newspaper as we move to the next paper. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Ramsey. Straight to the punch today. Above the header, cholera outbreak. 22 states get kit as Lagos cases hits 500. Details on page 2. Nigerians borrow 3.9 trillion as economic crisis bites harder. Details on page 32. Food price hike worry operators amid 1.2 trillion agri budgets. Details on page 31. NNPC shifts $700 million gas pipeline delivery date to August. Details on page 32. Now the big story. The kicker says crude price hike. Dangote alleges IOCs frustrating refinery. Details on page 31. It seems that news is on every paper.
On almost all the papers. It's something of concern.
And we have one writer to that story. Dangote accuses NMDPRA of granting licenses to operators to import dirty fuel. And below the header, FG to punish supervisors approving salaries for JAPA workers. So Do they mean the Japa that I know? Is the Japa?
That's it.
Yeah, that's the Japa they're
That's
referring
it. Some of them are back there abroad,
Yes,
and
they're
they are still
receiving
taking salaries here, while graduates are here working on the road.
Some of them
for
are
jobs.
back from
No, some of
They
them
are not
still
back
abroad.
in this country.
They were
Yeah,
working
and
before
they
they
are
left,
taking salaries
and they are
from
still
the
taking
jobs they had
salaries.
in
Oh
Nigeria.
my goodness.
It's so bad.
And then you
wickedness.
have people who have studied so hard, graduated, done their youth service, they can't get into
There are
these
no jobs,
offices.
and
there
these
are no
offices
jobs.
are made
And you
unavailable
say,
to
yes.
them. Oh my goodness. All right. Away from that story, Christ Embassy Lagos moves demolition. Oweleketv promises bigger church. You can get that details on page 4 and 5. That's a sad one, but I know bigger church is on the way. Nigeria sells $485 as official forest market records $23 billion. Details on page 30. I beg your pardon. Details on page 32 of the Punch. Nigeria sells $1,485 as official forest market records to $23 billion. Details on page 32. That's all we have for the Punch today, Monday morning. Over to you, Antonia.
Thank you, Michael. Let's take a look at the Daily Times newspaper this morning. NLC kicks against decentralization of minimum wage negotiations. To get the details of that story, do pick a copy of the Daily Times newspaper. Moving on to the big story on Daily Times this morning. 50 lawmakers write Tinubu, seek Nnamdi Kanu's release. And that you can find on page 4. And we have 2 riders underneath that say IPOB leaders' release will aid restoration of peace in Southeast. The next one says Kanu's freedom will enhance Tinubu's administration's legacy as one that prioritizes national unity, peace and progress. Away from that, gold program, that's the kicker of the story. Tinubu hails $5 billion boost to foreign reserves as major milestone in renewed hope agenda. Federal government committed to effective border control, staff welfare. This is coming from the immigration CG, and that you can find on page 11. On page 2 of the Daily Times newspaper, Nigerian Air Force airstrikes destroy 13 illegal oil refining sites and 7 boats. And on page 9, ASU strike, NANS appeals to lecturers, federal government to shift ground. And finally, from the Daily Times newspaper this morning on page 11, NDLEA bursts snake-guarded shrine used to store illicit drugs. Arrest 2 in Edo. Over to you, Ramsey.
Thank you very much. That's from Edo State. Okay, I don't know what that has to do anyway, but then the shrine
apparently it was guarded with snakes, so people cannot come in.
Actually
and
go
then the
in
NDLEA went ahead to bust into the shrine.
NDLEA,
and it was
it's so
used
good
to
that they
store
still went
illicit
in.
drugs.
You
So
know,
now, when one would pass that area and think it's just a shrine where traditional worshippers just go to worship, knowing that they are drugs.
so
stored there.
does it mean the gods was part of the drug dealings or something because it's in the shrine?
Or those gods are protecting the drugs. Yeah.
Or maybe the gods-
Drugs are now pushing. Gods are now pushing drugs.
But thank God the NDLEA was able.
No,
to
they were able to step in.
arrest
I
2
think
people
that's
from
good.
there, and
Go
that's
further,
commendable,
go
yes.
extra mile, to do all of that. Let's get into the Daily Trust newspaper and see how trustworthy it's going to be with the stories. The first one says that Tinubu orders sanction of workers taking salaries after relocating abroad. Details read on page 7 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Plateau bans churches, mosque from blocking roads. I thought it's only during Owambe in Lagos State that roads are being blocked. I don't know why churches or mosques should be blocking the road. I don't know, but then there was a time we were traveling and we got to a place and it was time for the people to pray. It will amaze you that right on the express, everywhere was blocked and there were mats on the express.
You had
And
to wait.
you had to wait, and they were praying. I think if the federal government can do something about this, it's good because, freedom of religion, good and fine, but then don't take laws into your hands
It
and
shouldn't
don't
stop
practice
other
your
people
religion
from
to the
doing
detriment
what
of
they-
other people's freedom.
Stop
I think
that.
that's a good one coming from the Plateau State government. Details read on page 6. And then the big stories right here before me. It's all about so many things are happening from Nigeria. And of course, we told you some times back about what's happening between the state governors, and of course, some headers. I think is one of the stories that we want to look at this morning. And the reason why we always talk about stories like this is so that people can actually learn. Because what I'm actually seeing on this paper right now shows that some persons are rising to go against what is being said by people in law who are actually lawmakers. And as it is right now, I think it's obvious that a lot of people are rising to the occasion. And what is the headline all about? Let me quickly take it from the Daily Trust newspaper. It's all about headers rejecting Senate's bill on ranching. You know, sometimes back, someone said, a senator said, I think the Senate president himself said, when some senators were saying, well, there is freedom of to live anywhere anyone wants to live. And the Senate president was asking if cattle is also a human being that has freedom to live anywhere. And from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, it's coming that headers reject Senate's bill on ranching because there was a bill that there should be ranching in Nigeria. And just to write us to that story, and I will be done, it's ill-conceived, coming from McBann. Then the second writer says, livestock ministry best solution. I think if this is done, it will be fine, because even in FCT, you see cattle on the road in FCT, for crying out loud. In town, in major roads, apart from going to destroy people's farm, the best way to even rear cattle is ranching, because you will give them the necessary things that they will need to feed on so that they can do well. So I think this should be followed to the latter, because this rejection, I don't think it will be to the benefit of all Nigerians. But then this bill is not a sectionalized bill. All right, that's going to be the size of the headline from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll bring to you the big story. And of course, the big story is really something big, and it's something that is affecting you and I right now. And it's coming from Dangote Refinery. Why have you not gotten fuel? And why are you buying fuel for as high as 700 and something to 1,000 naira? And why are you not being able to go to your offices with a considerable fare these days? We'll talk about all of this when we return.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Well, as it is, we are back, and we told you on return, it's going to be about the big story. It's so good to have you right there on Oweleketv this beautiful Monday morning, reaching you live and direct from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, where it is a rainy day. But then, despite the rain, I love Nigerians. Someone said something while we were stepping out from where we were actually trapped by the rain. The person said Nigerians are not lazy, because you need to see people running in the rain to meet up with their scheduled duties for this morning. And that's part of the reason we are here this morning, to talk about the fact that IOCs are frustrating rollout of petrol. This is coming from Dangote. You know, the excitement that came to a lot of Nigerians, despite the effect of the policies that came with this administration, is the fact that what the federal government has not been able to do, okay, they've not been able to do it. What they have not been able to do for years. I'm talking about putting up the refineries that we have in this country to make them work. They couldn't do it. They kept promising. Even when this administration came into office, they told us the first thing they were going to do is to make Port Harcourt Refinery work. But then, up till now, we've not heard anything. But Dangote came up to build a refinery, you know, after a few months. But now the challenge is that there is no crude. And who is frustrating this fuel from reaching Nigerians right now is IOC, International Oil Companies in Nigeria here are the ones frustrating us. And that's so bad. I felt bad as a Nigerian for an international organization in Nigeria to be frustrating the citizens of Nigeria from enjoying what they are supposed to enjoy. This is something that we have as a natural resources. You know, we have crude oil in this country. Before now, it was being taken out, a lot being spent before refined and returned back into Nigeria. But now we have a refinery where we can refine this thing. Why are the IOCs, all right, going more, depending more, wanting more to import than giving Dangote to refine so that we can have fuel here? You know, one of the writers says firms, okay, accuses government agencies, all right, of aiding indiscriminate importation to the peril of Nigerians who are going through so much right now. Antonia, I don't want to talk more because the more I talk about this, the more I don't know. But then this government, they not try. You know, why are they even quiet in the first place? Let me ask you. Why are they quiet? Is it that the IOCs are more powerful than the government of Nigeria?
The IOCs are not powerful than the government
what's
of Nigeria,
happening?
but you can see this is a clear case of some people benefiting or deriving pleasure from the pains of Nigerians. Because the federal government issued 25 licenses for refineries to be created, and it was only Dangote that came up and did his. And now we're seeing that he's ready. He's putting in the effort to ensure that Nigeria begins to refine her own fuel. But it is very obvious that these IOCs are bent on frustrating the Dangote group, and they rather sell to others and expect Nigeria to continue exporting our crude and importing the refined fuel. Because the vice president of oil and gas in Dangote Group, in person of Mr. Edwin, came out to say that at some point they spent over $6 higher for every crude they were importing, higher than what, above the market value than what others were spending.
And that's much.
And then they are deliberately just stalling the supply of the crude. You know, that kind of come today, come tomorrow kind of situation. You don't want to. All of this is not good. It's not necessary at all. Good. We have a refinery that is ready to do the work. Why don't you give them oil? How long will we continue to export our crude and import from other countries? How long would we continue?
For how long? That's the big question. For how long are we going to be doing that? You know, we should even be tired right now, because the way the economy is right now, Michael, what I felt is maybe, all right, if Dangote Refinery starts working, it's going to boost the economy a little bit, because a lot of people are going to go back to business. You know how much you spend every day getting fuel to fuel your generator, to generate power, so that you can reach out to the people, carry out your daily diligence. Now, let me ask you this question. As it is right now, Dangote has done it, all right? Why is the federal government keeping quiet? Is the IOCs, the international oil companies, you know who we're talking about, the Shells, you know, the Chevron, the Mobiles, you know, are they more powerful than the government of this country? Or the government of this country, like she said, some persons are actually happy when others are being pained, you know. What are you thinking? What came to your mind when you heard this? Importation, indiscriminate importation. If you know this importation is indiscriminate, why not stop it and give credence or maybe priority, I beg your pardon, to Dangote refineries?
It's been happening for some years right now. It's not starting today. So when these multinationals and big oil companies, international oil companies, want to hold a country to ransom, they tell you it is not available. They store the prices, they inflate the prices. But then what is happening basically is these people have been eating deep into the economy of Nigeria. They are feeding fat, because when they export raw materials to the country and they refine and bring back to you, they sell so much. So what they do is that they are creating wealth for their country and they are impoverishing your own country. Countries like Belgium and Netherlands even went ahead to say, if you're indiscriminately importing things like diesel into countries like Nigeria, Ghana had ECOWAS policies that prevented this indiscriminate import of diesel into the country because of the carcinogenic effect. Nigerian is a market that does not really think about the health.
Everything goes in Nigeria.
Of this country. So, okay, 25 licenses were issued, just like she said, rightly said, but Dangote that went ahead and started producing gasoline and diesel is not even empowered. The federal government have not even empowered them. So if the National Assembly and the federal government is saying that we love the way these people are exploiting from Nigerians, enriching their own countries. If countries like Belgium and Netherlands will say, hey, I don't want this diesel to come because of the carcinogenic effect it has on our citizenry. Ghana said the same thing. Why can't Nigeria say the same? In fact, since 2021, Ghana has said we do not want because of the health dangerous effect it has on our citizenry. And Nigerian market is a market that allows anything to come in, and then to the detriment of the betterment of this country. And I think if the federal government keeps stalling, IOCs keep stalling, they are not stronger than the federal government. What we have to do is take drastic actions and tell them, hey, enough is enough. Dangote was supposed to start rolling in June, but now he's saying next month.
June is coming to an end.
It's coming to an end.
They've said next month. They've said next month. We'll start rolling from next month.
Oh my God.
And they're saying from next month, and they're still not getting crude.
They don't have crude yet. So that next month is still not.
That next month is still not feasible.
Yeah, it's still not feasible
with the way things are.
So, sir, there's a whole lot of things.
But
not just the fuel, not just the importation of petrol. They just bring diesel and dump. And now Nigerians we use diesel a lot here, and they can inflate the price anyhow they want it. And that's why you see lots of people are sick. They don't even know the things that are in the market, the things they purchase. So they've been ripping Nigeria.
A whole lot of adulteration.
They've been ripping Nigeria, and these men are big. So they feel let's hold this country to ransom because we are the oil cabals.
Do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking since Dangote Refinery is up, the federal government should bring up Port Harcourt Refinery or any of the refinery so that there can be competition. And when there is competition, the price at least. Okay, I'll reduce my price so that I'll make more sales. But now, even the Dangote Refinery is not even getting crude. So I don't know. I think what we are actually asking is not too much. What Nigerians, not us here, what Nigerians are demanding for is not even too much because we have the crude in this country. So what we should be thinking about is how to bring up these refineries. If Port Harcourt Refinery, Warri Refinery, Kaduna Refinery was up and doing, is this how the IOCs would have treated these refineries, or it is because this one is coming from Dangote, that's why it's getting this treatment, or is it that someone is interested, or is it that someone is not happy that this Dangote is coming up with this refinery? Because I know, like you said, it is going to block the way for some persons who are indiscriminately exploiting this nation via this indiscriminate importation. Yeah. But
I also feel
the bottom line is that Nigerians
we're playing into their hands because import licenses are being given to them. These multinationals, Nigerians are playing.
No, Nigerians now. The kind of respect they give to expatriates. If they see that your color is not, in fact, even if you are albino and you claim to be a foreigner, the way they treat them in this country. Give them far, far, far better treatment than Nigerians who are even expats. Time will fail us. If not, we've heard of situations whereby I was working somewhere, an expatriate was brought in to work on something, and the expatriate breached something, and that station went down.
Oh, that's so sad.
You understand? These are things that Nigerians would have done. We have expats, but they look down on our expats, believing too much in expatriates. Well, I think so much respect and so much has been given to these IOCs that now they are even doing whatever they want to do in our country. Well, this is going to be the size of the headlines and the big story for this morning. It's Monday. Go out there and do what you're supposed to do and make sure you are productive. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter what's happening in this country, whether there is fuel or not, that you survived it to this very particular point in time, you are going to do well. Thank you very much, Antonia. Thank you very much, Michael. And thank you, viewers, for being part of the broadcast for this morning. We'll come on your way again, same time, same station tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.